And now, ladies and gentlemen, last but not the least, the final winner in the category of the Global Game Changer. The winner is the Olympic Gold Quest. Over the course of the next half an hour or so, you're going to have a very special conversation unfolding that will explore the DNA of the Olympic Gold Quest and what it really takes to support, scout, nurture Indian athletes on their quest to seek the Olympic gold medal for our country, for India. I'm going to hand over the platform now to Mr. Amit Chandra, who will engage in a riveting conversation with some truly special guests. We have Mary Kom, Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna awardee, Padma Vibhushan, Padma Bhushan and Padma Shri awardee, Olympic medal winner and Member of Parliament. Also on this special panel is Geet Sethi, 9 times World Q Sports champion, Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna awardee and co-founder of Olympic Gold Quest. Mr. Viren Rasquinha, former Indian hockey captain, Olympian, Arjuna awardee and CEO of Olympic Gold Quest. My dear friends, we have our sporting superheroes, so to speak, who underscore the spirit of innovation and the spirit of entrepreneurship.
This is truly a fanboy moment for me. So I'm naturally very nervous. So please excuse me if I make any mistakes as we go along. It couldn't have been a happier jury decision for me that OGQ has been selected with MIF's Global Game Changer Award. And it's not just because OGQ accounted for 5 of India's 8 Olympic medals in the last 8 years, and a very large percentage of those in the Asian Games, in the Commonwealth Games, and in the World Championships for various sports. But it is really because OGQ has proven that what is impossible is possible, but that what it requires is a long-term vision, very talented people like the ones before you come together to meticulously execute it, lots of patience to deal with ups and downs, and a very serious focus on impact. Through this conversation today, we hope to give everyone who's watching a flavor that we Indians can do anything if we set our minds to it. So let us now dive into this conversation with our superstars and learn the art of impossible. In section 1 of this conversation, I'm actually going to go back to the birth of an idea with the father of it himself, Geet Sethi, a legend in Indian sport. Geet, you were really cruising along in your career, and post that you could have planned to happily retire or played the role of a coach or a commentator, but something happened and you got the bug to start Olympic Gold Quest. Can you take us back to the moment when this all happened and also tell us a little bit about the opportunities? Geet, over to you.
So yeah, the year was 1998 and I was already a 3 or 4 time world champion. And like you said, Amit, was cruising along, happily. And then billiards got included into the Asian Games. And for the first time in 1998 in Bangkok, I became part of the Indian contingent, the Olympic contingent. And when I landed in Bangkok, it suddenly struck me, I was a professional player playing professional sport, not really in tune and linked with the Olympic movement. But it struck me how inefficient we were at that stage. I'm talking about 1998. And what I think the key thing, what I took back from Bangkok 1998 was the fact that the athlete was not the stakeholder. Decisions were being taken, to please and appease people other than the sports person. And that kind of rattled me. I wrote a lot. I criticized, establishment. That I said, what can we do? We have to improve the lot. They are so talented, these athletes. And just because of a lack of preparation or because of a lack of equipment or because of a lack of just timeliness in their preparation, they are unable to achieve their potential. And I said, I had criticized establishment enough. I said, enough of criticizing. Can we not do something? So and can we not start an organization where we can kind of put in, inputs which can benefit the athlete. And I went immediately, landed in India, went and met Prakash Padukone, and both of us said, let's do something. We agreed. And in 2001, we launched Olympic Gold Quest. And it was 7 years before I got my first funding, Amit. 7 long years. And it was not that we didn't try. We tried a lot. But perhaps the time was not right. People still didn't fancy Indian sport the way they fancied, other Indian, mass adulation sport like cricket. But in 2007, I got a break. And you know the gentleman, Shitin Desai, I was in his office trying to explain this whole concept. He's such a distracted man. And I thought, gosh, here's one more attempt. And it's going to bear no fruit. And I said, okay, Shitin bhai, thank you for your time. I'm leaving. And he immediately focused and he said, what do you need? I said, I need money. Do you have an athlete? Yes, I have an athlete. There is an athlete called Gagan Narang. And, he just gave me a check of 25 lakhs. The very next day, we got another check of 25 lakhs from Ramraj and we were off. And I think that is the launch of Olympic Gold Quest. And soon we came across, Viren, who had finished his ISB. He was traveling for a corporate job. Prakash and I grabbed him and we said, no, don't go. You have, there's so much you have to offer to Indian sport. Come and build this organization. And the rest, I think, as they say, is history, Amit.
What a fascinating story, Geet. There's so many lessons in that, for us, both in the corporate world, as well as I do a lot of work in the social sector as well. I think there are lessons for us across startups, businesses, that if we're really passionate about a problem, we can ultimately try to crack it. We need to, keep at it and keep pecking away, chipping away before we can get to success. And often it's unpredictable. Don't need to really, give up. And often, it's only after a very long road that you eventually, get to success. I want to move now to another, phase of OGQ's journey. Viren, I've had the exposure both to the world of business and the social sector. And I can tell you, we see a lot of terrific ideas, amazing passion, but translating that into great results requires meticulous planning and great execution. And so as I turn to you, I'd, like you to test in, the vision that Geet, Prakash and the board have had, so that all of us Indians, are able to hold their head high, when we compete at international level.
Yes, Amit. For me, actually, Geet calls it grabbing me, but honestly, in my field, when Geet, Sethi and Prakash Padukone request you to be part of an organization that they started, you just don't say no to two sports legends. I played at the 2004 Athens Olympics, and it was an 8-year-long journey for me. And in the end, we missed an Olympic medal by a fraction. And it hurt me a lot. And OGQ, in a way, was a platform for me to help the next generation of athletes and to ensure that the same mistakes were not repeated. And I thought that when I joined OGQ, it was a no-brainer. But I think the most important thing was focus. We actually analyzed the last 5 Olympics prior to that, and we saw that the top 30 nations in the medal table won almost 80% of their medals from just 4 sports, which meant the lesson here was to win Olympic medals, you have to focus. We researched them very deeply, and then we narrowed down on 5 sports: badminton, boxing, shooting, archery, and wrestling. These are the sports which we felt India had the best chance of winning Olympic medals. There were almost 90 Olympic medals up for grabs. If you look at the last 2 Olympics, they just won 6 in London and 2 at Rio. So much work to do just in these 5 sports. Incidentally, India qualifies for the Olympics in 15 sports. The next thing we needed to really work on was the selection process. We made it extremely merit-oriented, very rigorous. We invest a lot of time, effort, resources in selection. because like a PV Sindhu, we started supporting Sindhu when she was 14 years old. No one knew her name at that time. And it was a 7 year long journey with lots of ups and downs before she finally won an Olympic medal at 21 years old. Today, we support 200 athletes, almost 110 on the age group of 11 to 19 years old. We're already preparing them for the 2024 and 2028 Olympics. And we have to invest in research in the selection process. Otherwise, they will not reach the Olympics. The third we worked on was sustained fundraising, trying to ensure there's long-term commitment, because you don't build Olympic champions overnight. A joke is there that you put effort and train for 10 long years before you become an overnight success in sport. And the last but not the least is just building the right team. If we expect our athletes to go out there and win Olympic medals, then everyone working behind the scenes, the coach, trainer, physio, nutritionist, mental trainer, everyone has to be world class. If we get 1% better in coaching, 1% better in equipment, 1% better in infrastructure, in nutrition, in recovery, cumulatively, we're talking about 6-7% better. That's the difference between participating and actually winning an Olympic medal. And, for me, the best part of the journey, one of my best memories is actually Mary Kom herself, because there were so many challenges when she won the Olympic medal in 2012. In that 3 years from 2009 to 2012, Mary went up 2 weight categories from 46 kgs to 48 to 51, which her Olympics weight category was in. Never in the history had a boxer in a lower weight category gone up and won an Olympic medal. And Mary did it. And there were so many things that went on behind the scene, from coaches to sparring partners. But if it was not for her courage, her guts, her ability to overcome every challenge that life threw at her, there's no one more inspirational than Mary. And all of us had cried buckets of tears when she actually won her Olympic medal.
Mary, everyone has been patiently waiting to hear from you. And so I'm actually going to turn to you now. I've had the pleasure of listening to you many, many times, and you've talked very fondly about how OGQ has cared about you like a family. And I want you to talk about why you feel that OGQ has done for you what it has, and why it's so important for it to do that for other sports people as well. Mary, over to you.
OGQ has, support me since 2009 until now. I should say they are my family, and any needs, any input, any help, once I call, or if I inform anything needs help, and they immediately arrange it, everything within today itself. If I call, for example, if I call today, they are trying to arrange today itself. If not possible, then by tomorrow they can arrange everything, whatever I need and help requirement, especially for my training. I don't have any physio, I don't have a good coach. They immediately arrange for me and providing me actually. So that's the way actually I was so happy, because I need whatever to improve myself. So OGQ has done so many things. OGQ is one of, I can say like, they are everything for me. Yes, my family also, they have support me, but my family is secondary actually. OGQ in my field, without OGQ, I could not, I will not able to perform. I'm so happy. I'm so glad to have OGQ in my life.
Mary,
Thank you.
you're as generous with your words as you're strong with your punches.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Mary. The world is truly struggling with issues of inclusion, be it gender equality, inclusion of economic strata, caste, religion, or even disability. So in the next session, what I'd like to do, Geet and Viren, is talk about another unique facet of OGQ success, which is, OGQ has not compromised. In fact, it's built a lot of its success with inclusion as a unique dimension of it. And you're actually a beacon to the rest of the country and indeed the world on how inclusion should be a core part of one's values. Geet, let me start with you. If you could maybe talk about one pillar of your approach, and then Viren, you could maybe talk a couple of others. So Geet, over to you.
So yeah, Amit, I think you're right. Inclusion is an important part of the world today, and encompass inclusion in a very, very active manner. When it comes to OGQ, it's not that we kind of are choosing athletes on the basis of inclusion. No, it just so happens for us that most of our talent is coming from Mufassal areas. Most of our talent are coming from the Northeast, small villages in Haryana, small villages in Uttarakhand. And as a team and as an organization, we say wherever an athlete comes from, it is our job, to support them. Gender inclusion, demographic inclusion, financial, economic inclusion, social inclusion, everything. It doesn't matter for us. I'll give you the example. And I think the heartening thing is, like I mentioned, our athletes have this deep desire and hunger, and they're coming up from all kinds of areas, not from the cities necessarily. So I'll give you the example of Deepak Punia. We started supporting him when he was 16 years old. He comes from a small village in Haryana in district Chhajar, and we got a foreign coach from Georgia for him. He's a wrestler in the 86 kilogram category, and for the last 4 years he's being coached by this this coach from Georgia, an international coach, and we've been supporting him since he was 16. Last year he won the junior gold in the World Championship. In the Junior World Championship, he won a gold. And then shortly afterwards, in the Senior Championship, he won a silver, on the basis of which he has qualified for the Tokyo Olympics. Now, what a story. And his father's a milkman. His father's a milkman.
It's amazing. It's heartwarming, Geet. Importantly, as you point out, you're actually enabling things to happen in underserved areas. And I think that's what addressing the issue of inequity means. Viren, would you like to talk about other aspects of OGQ and how the inclusion agenda has been furthered?
Yeah, absolutely, Amit. I think I would like to touch upon the aspect of gender equality over here. I don't know whether our listeners out there know that, but the International Olympic Committee has now come up with a rule that the Tokyo Olympics, by the way, will be the first Olympics ever in over a century of the Olympics that 50% of the participants will be male and 50% female. So equal for the first time. And currently, of the about 200 athletes supported by OGQ, around 40% of our athletes are female. And that number is only good, the percentage is just going up every year. And this is purely on merit, not for a conscious decision that we are taking to support girls more. It's just purely on merit. And I've seen it from my own experience that if girls especially are given a level playing field, equal opportunity, the best possible support, I think they are far more talented and far more resilient than men. They have the mental and the psychological ability to handle pressure and make the right decisions when it really matters. And mark my words, at the Tokyo Olympics and going forward, female athletes will win 80% of the medals that India wins at the Olympics. I want to give the example, of course, Mary Kom is in front of us, Saina Nehwal, PV Sindhu, Mirabai Chanu. She's a weightlifter. Like Mary, she hails from Manipur. She grew up lifting firewood to earn money at home. Today, she's in the top 3 in the world in her category in weightlifting. She's lifting over 115 kgs over her head. That's Amit Chandra and Viren Rasquinha put together. So and she's in the 49 kg weight category. So incredible stories, and just about giving her the right platform, the right opportunity. And there are so many Mirabai Chanus out there. We have to go and find them, and it's our duty and responsibility to give them the right platform. I also want to talk about Paralympics. In the last 1 year, OGQ took a call to support para-athletes. Today, we support 22 of the most talented para-athletes. It's been such a humbling and inspiring experience, Amit. They have physical disabilities. Many of them have amputated upper limbs, amputated lower limbs. Many of them are on wheelchairs. One guy is an ex-army man. His name is Prem Kumar Ale. He's a para badminton player on a wheelchair. He lost the use of his limbs because he stepped on a landmine in the line of duty. And when I watch Prem train every single day, there's a smile on his face. There's a intensity in his heart to prove himself despite his disability. And that courage, that fire, that hunger to prove themselves despite everything is what pushes us to give them the best possible support.
I must say I'm deeply, deeply grateful to what OGQ does to push the inclusion agenda, because when you do this, you're actually setting such an amazing example for the rest of India to follow, because you're really enabling all kind of people who wouldn't otherwise had the opportunity to rise to their full potential. And I think that is what addressing the issue of inequity really means. I will now want to move back to Viren and Geet to talk about the impact that OGQ has delivered. It's truly been a phenomenal story. And so as we wrap up this discussion, Geet, I want you to first start off by looking back at the last decade or so and reflect on the achievements of the organization.
I'd like to believe, Amit, that OGQ has perhaps been a catalyst in the sporting Indian scene, a catalyst who has actually instilled a subconscious and conscious belief in our Indian sporting athletes. 20 years back, it used to be a great honor to represent the country. Whilst it remains a great honor to represent the country, the athlete who goes to the Olympics is not happy just representing the country. The athlete is happy only when he or she comes back with a medal. So I think, in enabling a few athletes to achieve this Olympic dream, we have actually instilled this confidence in the entire sporting community that we are going to the Olympics to win. I think another area which in the last 10 years, perhaps, if we can take a little credit for, is the fact that we are no longer criticizers, we are enablers, and I think, have somehow managed to work in tandem with federations, with government, with Sports Authority of India, to see that the athlete becomes the number one stakeholder. There is a definite shift in that attitude of establishment, and hats off to the establishment for opening up their purse strings, hats off to government, to Sports Authority of India, to various other organizations like OGQ. There are other organizations who are doing so much good work, And I believe we have got, or all of us have come together to have this wonderful sporting environment where the athlete is of paramount importance. Everything else, just we have to work in the background and the athlete has to be the star. I think that is what the impact perhaps we have managed to make.
I think it's truly phenomenal, and I think the results in terms of all the medals, not just in Olympics and Asian Games and the World Championships, but I think also importantly the pipeline in terms of what you have in terms of the young athletes really speaks for itself. Viren, over to you. What are the goals? I know Prakash and Geet and all the other members of your board aren't easy taskmasters. So what does the decade ahead in terms of goals really look like?
Yeah, before I go to a quick point on the goals, maybe I'll just add a little to what Geet said on the impact. I feel I totally agree with Geet when there's just one simple quality of self-belief. In 2008 at the Beijing Olympics, 3 Indian athletes won Olympic medals. Abhinav Bindra won gold, the first individual athlete ever to win an Olympic gold medal. But I feel the more impactful medals were Sushil Kumar and Vijender. Sushil won bronze in wrestling, Vijender won bronze in boxing. And, you know, most athletes relate themselves to the same background. And you know, from there on, India had the best performance at the London Olympics, where 6 athletes, including Mary Kom, won Olympic medals. And it's just given so much belief now to millions of kids across the country. When I played in 2004, honestly, if you ask me deep down, we did not have the belief that we could win. Today's athletes are different, and that belief is intangible. It's hard to measure, but that's a big change in the Indian athlete and really in our society, that we believe that we can match up to the best in the world. So that's, I think, been really important. And another impact is creating role models like Sindhu, like Saina Nehwal, like Mary Kom. I think we underestimate the importance of the role models to inspire kids. I remember I was 14 years old and Dhanraj Pillai once came to my school. The Indian hockey team came to my school ground to play an exhibition match. And I went up after the match and I shook his hands. So he never remembered, obviously, but for me, it was such a big thing to shake Dhanraj Pillai's hands. And 5 years later, I was playing in the Indian hockey team with him. And I told him that one day and he laughed, but it meant so much to me to shake Dhanraj Pillai's hand. So to have role models like Mary Kom, Sindhu and Saina is incredible. In terms of the goal in the next decade, I think we have to look at creating 25 to 30 more Sainas and Sindhus, not just, and Mary Koms, not just in Olympic sport, but in Paralympic sport. 90% of our athletes today come from the small towns, tier 2, tier 3 places. Every kid out there must believe that anything is possible. And I think there's nothing better in life than to prove to someone that you can do something that people say that you cannot do. So if we are able to win 25, 30 medals in the 2028 Olympics totally, I think 30 Mary Koms would inspire literally 30 million people to take up sport. And sport can teach you lessons that the classroom will never be able to teach you.
That's really powerful, Viren. I know that just about a decade ago, no girl wanted to enter a boxing academy. And today, boxing academies in North India, Northeast, and many other parts of the country, some of them have waiting lists thanks to Mary Kom. As we wrap up the discussion today, I want to end on a flourish and end with Mary Kom. Mary Kom, you've been boxing now for an amazing 20 years. You actually still look as fresh as you did when you started. Congratulations to you for that. And by the grace of God, I think you've kept the hunger alive. I would have to take a course in running if I was a female boxer and had to be in the ring with you, because the only thing I would want to do is run away. What at this point of time are your aspirations for the decades ahead? What lies ahead for Mary Kom?
Now my last mission I should say my last mission is now uh, is still due, and after all, after this age, I'm still fighting because I was still not satisfied what I have done. So now what I want to say today is because of OJQ, now I am still strong and I'm still believe that, I could able to do something again till the end. This time I could not able to ensure you, I will not ensure you that I will give 110% in the in the upcoming this Olympic for Tokyo, I should say. I will give 110%, and I am still strong that after 35, 36, 37 years. I think I don't think in India we will have, like me or not, that will be a big challenge to other athlete, other girls. I will try my best to give a gold medal for the country. Thank you so much.
Mary, you're such a phenomenal, not just such a phenomenal boxer, but you're such a phenomenal individual and a phenomenal woman. Not just OGQ, I know that over 1 billion Indians are going to be praying and rooting for you. And I can only tell you that we'll all be hoping that this is not your last mission. If it, and it may, it may be your last boxing mission, but like Geet, who's gone on to do so much more in the world of sport, other than simply playing it, but has gone on to build a movement. I'm sure you have a lot to offer this world than simply in the ring. So God bless you and God give you strength, and may you continue to be such an inspiration for us, for such a fascinating conversation. And I want to, summarize this conversation by, stepping back and thinking about the phase where we are in. This conversation is so relevant because this initiative shows us that it has become imperative that we can only move forward if we really use innovative approaches, that we be entrepreneurial. That, what we have really tried to do through Innovation for India Awards is address India's societal problems with innovation, entrepreneurship, and to foster such initiatives like OGQ. India does need to think more deeply and structurally about its problems, and we all have a role to play in this ecosystem. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank OGQ and each of these superstars behind it for all the amazing lessons for us to take away from what we have heard today. And it's not just for our businesses, but I think for our individual lives as well. I think there were so many things they talked about. And so there were so many lessons every day. I want to thank all of you for joining us for this segment of the awards.